They fed the chicken instead of their starving daughter, but she became the one who saved them all. The parents would rather dump their food into the chicken coop than give their shivering, starving daughter a single bite. They'd instead serve the fatty meat to their idle son, Zhang Laojin, and his wife. Their only concern was their son, Zhang Bao. Their daughter, Zhang Tao, was born to be the family's laborer. Before dawn, Zhang Tao had to work in the fields, and after dark, she had to feed the pigs, wash clothes, and grind grain. She was never idle. All the family's flour, fine meat, and other delicacies were reserved for Zhang Bao, while Zhang Tao ate only coarse food, becoming thin and pale from hunger. Her parents constantly scolded her for being lazy and eating too much. Spoiled and arrogant, Zhang Bao spent his days hanging out with hooligans and spending money like water. When his parents ran out of money, they forced Zhang Tao to work harder and save more. Even when he was so exhausted he could barely stand, they never gave him a penny. Heartbroken, Zhang Tao dared not complain. Every day, he secretly saved half a piece of dry rations to give to the destitute, mute old woman at the village entrance. He helped the old woman fetch water, sweep the floor, and mend clothes, doing so discreetly that no one in his family knew. One day, Zhang Bao smashed something in a shop, and the shopkeeper came to the door demanding 3 taels of silver in compensation, threatening to send him to the authorities otherwise. His parents were frantic, having only scraped together a tael of silver. They immediately wanted to sell their only 2 mu of paddy fields. Zhang Tao hurriedly stopped them, saying that the land was the family's livelihood and advising his parents to discuss the matter with the seller first before rushing to sell the land. His mother became furious upon hearing this, slapping Zhang Tao and scolding him for deliberately harming his brother. His father also joined in the scolding, calling his daughter an ingrate who didn't want the family to have a good life. Neither of them listened to his advice. Obstruction struck, and the buyer was about to sign a contract. Just as the pen was about to be put down, the mute old man and his wife rushed in, waving their hands frantically and shouting anxiously. Zhang Laojin, annoyed by their presence, had them pushed aside. At that moment, Zhang Tao's dog suddenly rushed forward, snatched the pen and paper, and the buyer's face changed drastically. He stood up and tried to escape. Neighbors, hearing the commotion, rushed over and, upon questioning, learned that this man was a swindler who preyed on farmers for their land. The parents, who had thought it was an urgent matter to save their son, turned out to be scammers. After this incident, instead of being grateful to Zhang Tao, they felt he had deliberately tried to outshine their son. The mother privately discussed with the father that Zhang Tao was cunning and would inevitably fight for the family property if he stayed at home. They suggested that it would be better for him to marry off his wife early to exchange for a dowry. When Zhang Tao was to marry, his father immediately agreed, secretly accepting a dowry from a lazy bum from a neighboring village. The wedding was in 3 days. Zhang Tao knelt and begged his parents not to push him into a pit of fire, saying he could support the family. His parents were unmoved, scolding him for being ungrateful, and locked him in the woodshed. That night, a thief broke into the house to steal money. Hearing the commotion, Zhang Tao frantically banged on the door and shouted. His parents, who were drinking with Zhang Bao, ignored his loud shouts and tried to stop him. Startled, the thief, in a fit of rage, lit the dry grass next to the woodshed. The fire, fanned by the wind, quickly spread to the main house. By the time his parents discovered it, the fire was already out of control. Terrified, Zhang Bao only cared about escaping, disregarding his parents' safety. Ignoring the flames, Zhang Tao rushed into the house and first rescued his unconscious mother. He pulled Zhang Tao out, then turned back to save his father, burning his own arm and most of his hair. Their home was burned beyond recognition. Seeing his family destitute, Zhang Bao, disgusted by his parents' burden, stole their meager savings before dawn and ran away, never to be heard from again. His parents were filled with regret and fear. Looking at Zhang Tao, covered in wounds, they were speechless with shame. Zhang Tao didn't complain. He dragged his injured body up the mountain to cut wood and grass to build a simple house, and then resumed farming to support the family. A few months later, a wandering old doctor passed through the village. Seeing Zhang Tao's kind heart and knowledge of mountain herbs, he took him on as an apprentice, teaching him pulse diagnosis and medicine preparation. Zhang Tao was intelligent and diligent, learning extremely quickly, and soon he could help the villagers treat minor ailments. Despite his minor ailments, Zhang Bao gradually gained a reputation and was able to earn money to support his family. Just as things were starting to improve, his parents, worried about their son, searched everywhere and finally found him wandering the streets. Zhang Bao feigned remorse, crying and promising to turn over a new leaf. His parents, softened, spoiled him again, secretly giving him all the money Zhang Tao had worked so hard to earn. However, Zhang Bao's bad habits were hard to break, and he soon gambled away a huge debt. To pay it off, he lied to his parents, saying he would start a business to turn things around, convincing them to hand over the house and land deeds. When Zhang Tao found out, he vehemently opposed this. urging his parents not to trust their brother. But his parents, blinded by familial affection, accused Zhang Tao of being narrow-minded and unable to tolerate his own brother. Just as Zhang Bao was about to sign the deed and transfer the property with the creditor, the old doctor arrived with the villagers. He presented evidence that Zhang Bao had conspired with others to swindle the family's property. It turned out the old doctor had long suspected Zhang Bao's dishonest character and had been secretly monitoring him, witnessing his entire scheme. The son his parents cherished was a villain who wanted to sell their property and ruin the family. Seeing this, the creditor fled in panic. Zhang Bao and his wife were devastated and fell ill. Seeing his plot exposed, Zhang Bao abandoned his parents again and fled overnight, disappearing without a trace. His parents were bedridden, and Zhang Tao cared for them completely. He practiced medicine to earn money while also preparing medicine and serving them, never uttering a word of complaint. The villagers all praised Zhang Tao for his filial piety. Shun was kind and compassionate. His parents, seeing him toil day and night, recalled their past favoritism and harshness, and wept endlessly with deep regret. Zhang Tao's reputation grew better and better thanks to his kindness and medical skills. Later, he opened a small pharmacy, often helping the poor, and the family's life gradually prospered. Only then did his parents fully realize that their beloved son was selfish and heartless, only caring about himself in times of crisis, while their neglected and mistreated daughter had repaid kindness with kindness and become the family's only support. The most despised daughter had become the family's only hope and pillar. On their deathbed, his parents held Zhang Tao's hands, repeatedly apologizing and regretting their foolishness. They realized that their favoritism and indulgence had made it difficult to maintain the family's fortune, and that only with a kind heart could a family prosper.